Welcome back to a very special episode of the TNI podcast. Me and Nora are back because there's been a lot going on in the football world. But today, big things happened. Cristiano Ronaldo has re-signed. He has returned to Old Trafford.
Wait, I thought the big news was Musa Sissoko moving to Watford.
That deal's done too. That's another superstar making big moves. But Nora, how you been?
I've been good. I've missed the podcast, obviously. Talking
Yeah,
football is there's just nothing better than that. So yeah, it's good to be back.
right. We had to come live tonight.
Too big,
It's been a
too big
crazy
to miss.
Yeah, it's been a crazy 24 hours. So where do we start with this one? Because Friday night comes, I'm sick. I'm coming home from work. It's hot as hell. I'm seeing Ronaldo to City. I'm seeing City fans rejoicing on the TL. I'm seeing really in the mud. And before, I didn't let it affect me. But the more I thought about it, I'm just like, damn, it's gonna be nasty to see Ronaldo in blue for City. And the thing about City is they're gonna win things. So to see you not
100%.
Ronaldo like help City just elevate is would hurt. But then the turnarounds next day he signed for United. Talk to me.
Uh, I just if you were to ask me the same, if we were to talk about this 24 hours ago, I think it would be a completely different conversation because everyone thought Ronaldo was gone to City because he'd made it clear already that he didn't want to stay at Juventus.
Yeah.
So I've never been a huge because ever since Ronaldo left Manchester United, it's almost been like he's on loan at Madrid, he's on loan at Juventus. He's always gonna come back home. But I've never been one of those guys that was like, oh, I want Ronaldo back. I want Ronaldo back. I always thought, his story at United is beautiful. Just leave it at that. There's no need for him to come back. But the news of him going to City and then the news of him coming back, home, that just tugged at my heart right there because him going to City would have been absolutely disastrous. I'd already started insulting him. I'd already started slandering him, calling him a snake and all that. But the turnaround, that's the thing. I've never been a Ronaldo should come home guy, but now that he's home, it just feels so right. It just feels like this was meant to happen all along. So I'm over the moon. I can't even start to think about like footballing reasons why it shouldn't be happening, but the football reasons why it should happen are pretty obvious. So I
Yeah.
love the move.
Yeah. Like the more as the day went by, I'm like starting to really think it's not settled in yet. I think it's gonna settle in when I start to see him in like training and I see Rashford and Pogba and Cavani and Bruno. And it's like this is Ronaldo back at Carrington. That's crazy. Like that's crazy to me. And yeah, it's like I didn't even try to think too deep about how he will play, how he will fit. I just think about like how he will elevate like the entire United institution
Exactly.
becomes like for to have him a legend of the club as well as just a serial winner added to the squad. It's only gonna bring good things. And honestly, if it fails, like I don't care. Like I'm gassed right now. I'm at
That's the point that I'm at right now. If it
yeah,
fails, it fails because at this point, this is Cristiano Ronaldo we're bringing, home. This is literally one of, if not the greatest player of all time.
let's not forget. It's not like he's washed either. People love to big up Romelu Lukaku last season. Who scored the most last season in Serie
Ronaldo
A?
outscored him last season. It's funny you think the last season I was completely against Ronaldo, and now I'm completely against Romelu Lukaku and for Ronaldo. Things change in the football world, but man, it's just one person that I'm happy for right now is sorry, two people that I'm happy for right now. One, Marcus Rashford, and two, Mason Greenwood. I know people started talking about, oh, this is gonna harm the development of Mason Greenwood. I'm looking at it in a positive light because we saw, I believe personally, that Edson Cavani helped Mason Greenwood improve, helped him in front of goal, helped him, find that hunger for goal. And now you bring in Cristiano Ronaldo for Mason Greenwood to learn off of. That's even more the mentality that he's gonna reach. And then the winners we brought into the squad. It's just everything is just leveling up right now for Manchester United. So
And we got to give credit to Ole for that because the squad is looking the best it's been damn near since Sir Alex retired. And
Even before Sir Alex retired.
yeah,
This is
and
a better
when you
squad.
have the names, as you said, like we have Eddie Cavani, we have Rafael Varane, we have Ronaldo now, Bruno, Pogba. Like these are star names.
Yeah.
And the level is just going to up the levels in training. Like he's going to demand more of the entire team because the main problem with this United team for me is they're losers. Like they're great players, but they bottled it in every big moment. Semi-final, final. With Ronaldo coming, he's not gonna go for Bruno sticking it up in these finals. He's gonna tell McTominay fix up. He's gonna demand. And he's been there before. It's not like it's like a new environment. He's been to OT. He's gonna be the reception when he comes back. First off, we got fans back, so the fans were already gassed. Like the noise is already going to be crazy every game. But now that Ronaldo's back, Old Trafford is going to be bouncing every game. Like I'm not even trying to gas it. I'm not even trying to over exaggerate. Yeah. That's really how it's going to be because Ronaldo is back. It's crazy.
What kills me right now is they're not going to get a chance because he's definitely not going to play the Wolves game.
Newcastle.
Because that's, it's already Saturday and that's on Sunday. So he's definitely not going to play that. But I think he'd be okay for the Newcastle game. But then that's in over 2 weeks. I think that's September 11th. So that's heartbreaking because it feels like the anticipation is just building and building and building. So, I just need to see him in red. I need to see him in red again.
So yeah, he's gonna quarantine. No, he's gonna have his medical in Lisbon, and then international.
Apparently, he might stay there.
Yeah, he's gonna stay in the Portugal squad, and then return for the Newcastle game. It's crazy because Sky and BT didn't get the rights for they didn't choose to broadcast that game. And now I don't know if that could change if it's too late because that's going to be Ronaldo's second debut for United.
Just the hype around this, like I just can't wrap my head around Cristiano Ronaldo coming back home, and then it's just the whole saga around it. It was so perfectly written to build up and raise the United fans at the same time, bring down Manchester City fans who were 24 hours ago were screaming for a United legend to come to their club. They were groveling, hyping him, loving him. And then for this to happen, it brings down Manchester City a peg, and it raises the level at Manchester United.
And when you read the articles about how, I haven't, I don't have the Athletic link, but United Report and all those things.
Yeah.
And I'm seeing how basically he was gonna go to City because they were the only ones that could afford him, and then United apparently Ole phoned Ed Woodward to see just the field if it was possible, and Edward was like, yeah, he was on it. He was I can do whatever I can. And then apparently Sir Alex called him and called Jorge Mendes, and then Rio and Evra contacted him there's no way you're going to see you can't do that, and it changed his mind.
The whole story of Rio phoning him and texting him more than he's ever done since he left United.
Yeah.
Apparently Bruno too was on the case, making sure he didn't go to Man City. Sir Alex made a phone call. These are all just all these factors that are set up for him to come and be a star again, come and be loved again by these fans that once adored him, and they still adore him. It's a perfect story, and I want to be cautious in saying I don't want to put too much pressure on him, but this Cristiano Ronaldo, what is pressure to Cristiano Ronaldo? He thrives off that. He needs it even to succeed. So I just love the spotlight on him, how he's turned the football world around. We've seen how crazy the transfer window has been. If we go into that, it's going to take us another week.
Yeah.
But just this story alone, there's so many sections to it. Him leaving Juventus, how are they going to fare now without him? How he left, apparently he destroyed their wage structure. Not apparently, he definitely did destroy their wage structure. Yeah. He's taken a pay cut, obviously, to come here because there's no way we're going to pay him close to £1 million a week. But yeah, he's just set everything up perfectly. 2 years, and with Cavani behaving how he's behaving right now, I love the move.
I guess we can transition to the squad basically and how
Yeah.
he's going to fit in the team. Being that you mentioned Eddie
Okay.
Cavani, because Cavani to me it's a smart signing by United, and I think
Yeah.
it showed he showed his worth basically towards the later end of the season when he was finally getting a run of games. The Tottenham game where he scored 2 goals, even though one was kind of offside.
Yeah.
The Europa League final, the road to the final, he was banging in goals left and right.
Roma semifinal.
Undoubtedly, Ronaldo's going to be playing as a striker, but it's a matter of in these big games, is Cavani going to be playing as a striker? Is Cavani might be going moving to the right? Is Rashford going to be moving? Because there's so many options now with this front three that we have, I should say.
Yeah.
How do you see Ronaldo fitting the squad?
It's something that I hadn't really, because I've just been so hyped all day. I haven't really, sat down and really thought about it. But off the top of my head, from what I can, Ronaldo obviously is a pure goal scorer right now. He scores goals. He's a guarantee of goals. But from my eyes, I don't think he's an out and out center forward. I don't think he wants to be, the middle piece of a front three. I think he could fit into a 2 up front, and he'd be very comfortable with that. He'd also be comfortable, obviously, it's Ronaldo. He'd be comfortable playing as a 1, but I think he'd prefer to have someone else next to him, or you put him on, the left for him to drift in. But I think if you put him on the left to drift in, you have to think about where you're going to play Pogba, where you're going to play Rashford, who's already back in training, by the way. And then you think of off the right, you have Sancho, you have Daniel James, you have Mason Greenwood. I mean, these are there's depth there, but I think the best thing that can come out of this is Ronaldo's entirely comfortable playing in the middle. He's entirely comfortable playing on the left. He can also play on the right. Rashford is comfortable through the middle, not great, but comfortable. He's very, very comfortable on the left. Daniel James is comfortable on both sides. And we've also seen Daniel James kind of centrally against, I think it was Manchester City, where he was running right. The game where Martial was dropping a bit deeper. It was Rashford and Daniel James basically the central pieces. So Sancho is also comfortable on the left and the right. So and we've seen how Ole plays with the interchanging of center forwards. So I think the only out and out center forward that you want in the middle right now is Edson Cavani. But I don't see how he starts in this team right now because I believe we need to surround Ronaldo with pace. So you have to get a Rashford in. You have to get a maybe Daniel James in. Who knows if he stays. If Lingard stays, he's also an option. So how do you see it going down?
I only see Ronaldo as the 9. I don't want to doubt because he scores goals. He scored goals last season, even though he's getting on to a little older. But I don't know if he can play the wing now in the Prem because the Prem is the Prem, and he's 36. And what he's known for, I want to see him around the box because when you look at United, we have Martial, he doesn't move. Cavani's the only person with movement in our front line. And Greenwood, he's still learning and he's improving as a number 9. So for me, Ronaldo, I don't want him to do running. I don't want him to drop because Cavani, for example, last season, Cavani would drop deep at sometimes link play. I don't want to see that with Ronaldo. I want to see Ronaldo just in and around the box, movement, poaching goals because we don't need him to. I personally feel like he doesn't need to drop deep because we have Bruno
and
Pogba. These are all creators.
Yeah.
And just even going back to the Leeds game, I know Leeds isn't the best example, but when you see how Bruno was making runs in behind Mason Greenwood and how they're basically playing kind of as like a front 2, how far Bruno was that high up. I feel like the same thing can happen with Ronaldo, especially how you said that he wouldn't mind playing with 2 up top.
Yeah.
But I really just need to see him. I want to see him just around the box because I just feel like United don't have another striker, a true striker besides Cavani. When Cavani's not fit, we see how we fail when we have Martial up top. And Greenwood is young, but it's Ronaldo. So yeah, I think he's going to be our 9 option. And as I said, Cavani, he's getting older, so he's not going to be able to play 2-3 games a week anyway.
Yeah.
So that's going to be fine for rotation.
Ronaldo also shouldn't be able to play 2-3 games. He's a fit monster, but so is Cavani.
Yeah.
I don't think they should be. I don't think we should even put them in that situation where they have to play 2-3 games a week.
Yeah, now that we have depth at the nine.
Yeah, now that the depth is there, we don't look to our bench, and the only option is Daniel James, who was, for large parts last season, was the only option on the bench, and
Yeah.
even he isn't, someone that we're in love with coming off the bench or even
He
starting
needs
for
to
that
go.
matter.
He needs to go. I'm sorry, he needs to go because we have now. I feel like Ahmad deserves. I think he's just better than Daniel James. I understand what Daniel James brings with his pace, running behind, but it comes to a point where okay, you can get into good positions, but if you're not going to do anything with the ball when you get those positions, then what's the point?
Yeah.
So, yeah, DJ could go. We need some outgoings. I don't know how this is going to work because our wage bill. We need Lingard to leave. I need to see DJ out. I need to see who else could go. Well, only Lingard pretty much at this point seems reasonable.
Lingard and Daniel James probably are the two that you'd look to offload at this point. I don't think you'd send out Chartier.
Mhm.
I don't think you'd send him out on loan right now. I think you keep him in the under 23s, and sometimes he could come up. Ilanga probably the same. I think Ahmad needs a good run of minutes, and I don't see how he could get that in this team right now. So I'd prefer him to also go out on loan. So a Daniel James, but Daniel James probably is the odd man out. But I've always appreciated what he brought to the table. It's just not been good enough. He's been my guy, but fact of the matter is it hasn't been good enough. In large parts, even when we are playing good, he's looked out of place at times. So he's probably the odd man out.
What is United's strongest 11? We're in a final. Everyone's fit.
You're gonna disagree with my first pick, so let's just get that out the way. In goalkeeper, we're gonna have David De Gea.
Yeah, go on. I wasn't even thinking. Okay, just go on.
Do you agree with that, or
No, David De Gea has shown in the past 3 years he's falling off, and he's error prone in the big games. He doesn't have that big game temperament. It showed in the Chelsea semifinals 2 years ago. It showed even as recently as Villarreal in the Europa League final. He did not save one pen
that
out of
was a
12.
penalty? But
He did not save one out of 12, and then failed to score the one pen after players like Daniel James and Fred scored their pen, put the squad on their back. Every outfield player scored their penalty, wanting to win the trophy for Ole, and it came to De Gea.
I don't want to go back to Europa League.
I don't want to go back
failed
either.
miserably in that.
I don't want to go back.
The thing is, the other option is, do you want Tom Heaton in goal? Because there's no way I'm putting.
I want Dean Henderson or Tom Heaton because they're both better than David De Gea. But this isn't about. Let's
not get into the goalkeepers.
We're on a positive light tonight.
Yeah.
We can talk about onto the back four.
Obviously, left back Luke Shaw. Obviously, right back Aaron Wan-Bissaka. I don't want to hear Diogo Dalot shouts. I don't want to hear. Who else do we even have? Alex Tellez for left back, and then if Dalot goes out, which is still a possibility apparently, Kieran Trippier. I'd still put Aaron Wan-Bissaka. Center backs, the captain, Harry Maguire. You can't leave him out. And Rafa Varane. That's someone else. I didn't think I'd be calling in a Manchester United squad, but we have Rafael Varane. In midfield, unfortunately, Pogba is gonna have to drop a bit deeper than he's played for Ole last season and this season. I think he's gonna have to play in a midfield too, possibly with Scott McTominay, in my opinion. So possibly with Scott McTominay, in my opinion. Pogba, Scott McTominay. We have Bruno right in front of them, and then we could have Jadon Sancho on the right and Marcus Rashford on the left. So the front three would be Rashford, Ronaldo, Sancho. I'd prefer, maybe that would make it a 4-3-3, but I don't know if I'd probably go 4-2-3-1. Ronaldo up front alone, Rashford, Bruno, and Sancho in behind,
And who
which
you
would
say?
make it easier. Sorry?
And you said you want Pogba and who behind Bruno?
Pogba and Scott McTominay. I don't trust Fred, and Matic just cannot be a starting midfielder for us, in my opinion. He just doesn't have the legs. And in my opinion, he's just not someone I could rely on for a full season. I could rely on him for like specific performances, but not for a full season.
So for me, the back four is the same. And depending on the signings we get, which we probably won't get anybody, the midfield is a techie one because
There's no out and out DM.
there's no out and out DM.
The only one is Matic, and he's not someone you want for a full season.
In the pivot, we have no players besides Fred and McTominay that work well together in the pivot.
Yeah, they
So,
do work well together.
Unfortunately, because they balance each other out, I'd have Fred and McTominay. Was it McFred in the pivot?
Okay.
Bruno in the 10, of course. And then the front three, Ronaldo in the 9, of course. And this is where it gets hard for me, is the wingers, because Pogba is starting the season on fire. And he ended the last season playing on the wing and was on fire as well.
Yeah. He moved into midfield for the Europa League final because of Fred's injury.
Because of Fred's injury, and he was not as effective.
Yeah, exactly.
He's a midfielder, but his best performances are on the left, drifting in, kind of a free roll, obviously. But
exactly, he's on left, but it's a free roll for him.
Yeah. So honestly, I have Pogba on the left because I think he just, when it comes to attacking third, he brings so much goals, assists, creativity.
Yeah,
he links up well with Cavani, with Bruno, and he's just a threat.
With Greenwood as well, he's forming a good bond with
everybody. He's a world class player. Everybody. So that's why I'd have Pogba coming off the left, and I'd have the likes of Rashford coming off the bench, pace. But obviously, we have to see how Rashford turns out in the season because I'm going off last season's form. Obviously, he was injured, and it wasn't looking good. He was terrible all last season, even though he still put up good numbers. But if I'm going off last season, I'd have Pogba on the left, Ronaldo on the 9, and then on the right, I'd go Greenwood right now. I think Greenwood is really becoming a complete player in that he can play the 9, he can drop deep, but on the right, he's just as much as a threat running in towards goal. He can cut on his onto his left, he can shoot on his right, and he also is a decent passer. Like he really is becoming a complete player, a complete attacker.
Yes.
And as I said, it's early, so we have to see what Jadon Sancho brings to United because so far he's never even had a start. But once again, it's not even a problem if Greenwood or Sancho start because we have now depth to come off the bench and change the game.
Exactly.
So it's only if Ole decides he wants to actually make subs this season because last season it was peak. But
Martial could come in, Sancho could come in, Rashford. You just left Martial, who's been terrible for a while now, by the way, but I still have hope, kind of. Martial, Sancho, Rashford, Daniel James, Jesse Lingard, Donnie Bendervick. We haven't even made a mention of him. He probably doesn't exist in Ole's books as well, but he's still around. So there's numbers. We have numbers in the squad. So it'll be interesting to see how they all balance out, how the minutes are shared, because everyone's going to want minutes.
Quickly, let's touch on Donnie Bendervick because United fans have been calling for a midfielder with some technical ability. A midfielder who could progress play, who could pass forward. Fred is too erratic. McTominay, he's a good driver of the ball, but both of them lack quality for United midfielder. And even in the most recent game against Southampton, we saw that under a press, we don't have a player that can pass through the lines. Well, we do, in theory, with Donnie Bendervick from the small business team and what we know of his profile.
Yeah.
What's the issue with him? Because, as I said, in the Southampton game, it was so obvious. If you're going to make a sub,
Donnie should be the guy.
Donnie should have came on, and he hasn't. And I'd like to believe that every signing that Ole has made like as time at the club has been him, because there's been rumors that it's the club that signed Donnie. But when you look at Maguire, like I feel like Ole, basically like signs off on every single
Yeah,
transfer.
he does.
But it's so weird the treatment of Donnie Bendervick. Then what's your thoughts on it?
Even at the time, I thought the signing was weird
Mhm.
because we had numbers in that position. He was never gonna get past Bruno. He was never gonna get past, even if sometimes Pogba plays there. He's never gonna get past those two because he's not a midfielder. I think personally in the Premier League that you could play in a pivot. He just when he has played in the pivot for us, I feel like he hides away from the ball.
You
And
know, he
sometimes
played a game last season against like the likes of Wolves and Southampton. I think
I think people were impressed by those performances. I felt like I needed to see more, especially from someone that wants game time, that's craving game time. I needed him to grab, the game by its throat. You know how sometimes Pogba with one action, you just know he's taking the game seriously. And then over the course of the game, 10, 20 minutes, you could see him consistently demanding the ball and wanting to create something. That's what I wanted to see from Donnie Bendervick at times last season, which I didn't. He looked a bit lightweight, which apparently he's worked on this summer. He's been in the gym, but I'm going to have to see more of him because honestly, what I've seen so far in a Manchester United top, he hasn't looked great. He hasn't looked like someone that I'd want, starting week in, week out. I need, a superstar, a
but when
Bruno,
you
a
look at
Pogba.
the likes of Fred and McTominay,
Yeah.
surely you think he should be starting or at least one of them. I understand you said he hasn't.
Yeah, I would understand that.
Yeah.
I would understand that, but the problem is you put him in there, and I feel like you hurt the balance of the team. Fred McTominay provide balance to the team. If you put him there, I just don't think it works. I don't think he gives you, he doesn't give you enough in that position. Where you would expect him to give you enough would be closer to the box, smart touches, smart flicks around the corner, dummies, where he could use his brain a bit more. But I think when you play him deeper, you're wasting him and you're wasting a position and hurting the balance of the team.
So then we can move on to the next United game, Wolves away on Sunday.
Yeah.
And McTominay's injured.
Yeah.
So after what we just spoke about, who do you want to see playing next to Fred in the midfield? Because for me, I want to see Donnie because I've seen Fred and Matic before. I've seen it not work this season. I've seen every tested pair besides one with Donnie in it consistently. So for me on Sunday, I want to see Donnie start next to whoever. I just know I want to see him start because I want to see. I'm tired of seeing our midfield not being able to progress the ball to the forwards. So I want to see Donnie start.
I think it's very early in the season, so I would be open to seeing him start there because since it's so early in the season, I don't want to say we have more room to make mistakes, but
if you want a title,
especially since we've already dropped points, but the fact of the matter is it's very early in the season, and whatever mistakes you make here, you have a chance to make up for it later.
But
over the course of the season, you do.
I get what you're saying. At the same time, we've seen how last season, every early the stutter start we had last season, the small points, the way the league is competitive these years, that you can't really every game, even in the beginning, you have to start strong. I remember Ole saying something along those lines as well.
Yeah, I understand that, but you cannot win a league trophy within the first 3 games of the season.
Right, of course.
Manchester City last season didn't have the best of starts. I think that in their first 6 games, they dropped points in 3 of them. I'm not sure exactly. Don't quote me on the numbers, but I know their first 6 games weren't great last season. And they went on to win the league. It's a very, very long season, so that's why I'm kind of open to testing him out there. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. Obviously, I'd prefer McTominay and Fred, since that's what that's a tested and tried formula. Matic and Fred is not as tested and tried, but Matic is someone that I know what he brings, and Donnie is kind of a question mark for me, so that's why I have ifs over him. I'm open to seeing him starting against Wolves.
Another question: Sancho and Varane. Are they starting? Are they not? What do you think Ole's going to do? And do you think they could start?
Um, I think you start them.
I agree.
I think you start them. Uh, I could see Sancho starting and Varane not starting because Lindelof hasn't really put a foot wrong since the season started. Uh, I haven't. Well, personally, I think he's played very good football.
I, I mean, he hasn't put a foot wrong since the beginning of the season, but
Yeah,
I think it's time.
yeah. If you have Varane, you play Varane, obviously.
Yeah, it's time
But
to ease him in.
I'll,
It's not like he's a young player. He's
yeah,
experienced. He's everything.
but
I think
Lindelof himself is no bum. That's the thing.
he's a
That's the
bump.
captain of Sweden.
Not close to Raphael Brown.
I have a soft spot for Lindelof. I'm gonna be honest. He's
You
my
just
guy.
like handsome players. That's your problem.
What?
If he passed the handsome test, that already adds on to the ball. Because if he was ugly, you would be like, nah, he gotta go.
Nah, I rep a lot of ugly players.
Fair enough. I like my
I rep a
defenders
lot.
to defend.
Who?
I like my defenders to defend. And Lindelof is a great passer. He's a decent defender. But I need to see Raphael start to beat Maguire. We got the Ronaldo push. Everyone's lifted up. I don't want to see Lindelof again. I need to see big Real Madrid Champions League run next to Harry Maguire. I need to see Sancho on the right. I don't want to see Dan James.
Going into the international break, would it be smart not to have Varane play even 1 minute of football?
Oh no, that's such an that's such an all-in move I can see him doing. Like it's international break, so real easy. Nah. Have him start, get a little taste of Wolves away. It's a good Prem game, I think. It's not going to be too tough. Wolves is a tough game they're a tough team.
Jimenez is a tough striker to go up against in your first game.
Yeah.
He's not the hardest, obviously.
Yeah,
I think
Wolves are a decent little game for him to start. It's a Molyneux away. That's a perfect tough away day. But when you actually look at Wolves, we should be beating Wolves every time. So
I watched their game against Spurs, and I feel they were extremely unlucky not to come away with at least a point. Adama Traore is a terrible footballer when it comes to having to produce. And if it was a race or a strength test, I think he'd be one of the best footballers in the world. But there's more to football than just running and barging people over. So Adama Traore probably at fault. I don't want to put one player at fault for a team losing, but that one-on-one that you missed, that's not something that can be
Daniel
glossed
James
over.
PNP. He's a black Dan James. Yeah, they bring the same. They literally actually Adama Traore is better because he had at least.
Adama offers more because he's more physical. Can
can
actually get past players. Can dribble.
Yeah, that's the same thing about Dan James. It's like he doesn't have to do too much. He's so fast, but it seems like he literally freezes and he just does like a little stutter and just loses the ball every time. It's like, bro, do something. He's not good. But
he's not the guy. But
listen, it's an exciting time at United for sure. Ronaldo he just changed the game because City. When you look at City now, if you want to talk, I don't even want to talk about City like that. But when you look at City, they didn't have a great summer. They signed Grealish, which for me, his profile doesn't really fit into their squad. I feel like they need more pace up front, which they don't have right now. And I need a striker like Ronaldo, someone to just.
They've got Liam Delap, so.
Yeah, I don't know what to do because.
And apparently, Gabby J isn't, too thrilled about being a striker anymore. Apparently, he's looking to, move towards more the wing or come off the left or the right or even behind the striker. But Pep has said Daniel James. Gabriel J can play as a striker. Sterling can play the striker. Grealish can play the striker. Ferran Torres can play the striker. So they've got options there. But
Sterling's going to be there by then. Transfer. I'm hearing rumors.
Yeah, he just looks out of place right now at Manchester City, which is not something I would have said about Raheem Sterling, 2 seasons ago. But he looks out of place at City right now. But can anyone, really afford him or go for him?
I'm hearing rumors to PSG.
Oh, that would be interesting. But there's a couple players that want to leave City anyway.
Mario's one of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's see how they work out their situation, because Kane no go, Messi no go, Ronaldo no go.
I feel that everyone they tried, besides Grealish this year.
It's a tough summer.
All right. And to finish up,
that's just. Let me just say, that's just what Pep gets for lying to everybody all the time. We cannot compete. We don't have the money. We can't afford. Okay, you just bid $100 million for Grealish immediately. By the way, didn't even haggle over the price. Just put up the $100 million release clause. We get that, but still, at least put like 70 at first and test the waters.
Nah. Kane
$100 million straight up, and then 120 to Daniel Levy and Spurs, which was quickly rejected. So
Levy's crazy for how he rejected a 150. He's crazy. City apparently offered them Gabby J, Bernardo Silva, Laporte. He was not, no matter what they were offering, he was rejected.
Yeah, I mean, he wants to keep his star player. It'll be interesting to see if they win the Conference League, which is still a joke to me, by the way. But it's still going to be a trophy for Harry Kane. I think they should take it seriously. They should be winning it easily, in my opinion. But yeah, Spurs holding on to Harry Kane. His fault for signing that stupid contract, by the way. So,
him and his brother failed horribly at their little. Yeah. They were literally engineering the move since the beginning of the summer with that interview with Gary Neville. Exactly. And somehow he was still seen as an angel, not slated by anybody, and then he ended up still back at his club. It's a Howard.
White man tax.
All it is. Yeah. So I just wanted to finish up on the top 4.
Okay.
And who do you see finishing in the top 4 in order with league winners, all of that?
I don't want to. I think everyone's top 4 this season is going to be virtually the same.
It's just about the order.
Yeah, it's just about the order, basically. And by the same, I mean Manchester City, Manchester United, Liverpool, Chelsea. Those are the top 4 teams in the league right now. So I would guess that those 4 finish as league winner, as the top 4 Champions League qualifiers. As for the league winners, I would still go Manchester City. Okay. For second, I would go Manchester United again. Mm-hmm. For third, I would go Chelsea, and for fourth, I would go Liverpool. I think any one of them could swap. Even for Manchester City, it's not like a definitive first. I do feel Chelsea can win the league despite me putting them third or fourth. I feel Liverpool can still win the league.
Yeah, that's a good point. Besides United, I genuinely think every other team can win the
United, league. I put us, at the same chances as, Liverpool.
See, I would, but because Liverpool have won before, they're starting off well, and they have Virgil van Dijk back, and they have a fit squad, basically. They're kind of a wild card for me because they're definitely going to be in the top 4. It's just a matter of they're looking good already to start the season. It's just a matter of can they keep on and keep up this season again and stay injury-free. For me, it's either Chelsea, though, or City to win the league. City, I mean, they win the league pretty much every other year of recent times. They signed Jack Grealish. Even though they need a striker, as you saw how they walked up the last season with no striker, I don't think it's going to affect them too much. So I'll still have City up there. Chelsea, they're always known for the odd league win. It's like standard, which they already won the Champions League last season.
Yeah.
So, and they have Lukaku. They're a strong defensively with under Tuchel, and then last season their problem was for me is they lacked goals, and it's not even because of chances, it's because Werner missed so many chances that I think Lukaku will put away this season.
Yeah.
So with that being said, I can see either City or Chelsea, and then the last two, United or Liverpool. Now, as I said, Liverpool's a dark horse. When it comes to United, they do have the squad to compete for me. I mean, I know DM is a huge issue, and every team, if you look at every like title-winning team, a DM, they have a DM, whether it's Conte, whether it's
they have a solidified midfield.
Yeah, a Fernandinho. I mean,
Yeah.
every successful team in history that won, they always have a DM that's and a significant good DM. Busquets, even like you need that, and we don't have that. So, regardless of how good Ole is, and how much I still think Ole has a lot to learn in terms of tactics. I think even without a DM, we can't win the league. So just surely a top 3, top 4 finish. But yeah, for me, it's going to be Chelsea or City to win the league this season. But hopefully,
one team that you think could sneak into that top 4 and break up those 4.
Let's look at the. Let's see what's quick. Leicester. Leicester do it every season. They're right there, and they fall off. So, but actually, no. Leicester have been looking bad this season, though. They haven't been the best. And with the Fofana injury, yeah, it might be tough. But for me, it's either West Ham or Leicester.
Okay, West Ham. That's interesting.
Yeah. Oh wait, no. West Ham in Europe. Bunda. They're not. I don't think they're. But yeah, I think it's probably Leicester because the last 3 years they've been close. They've been the longest in the top 4 out of all the teams. I think top 4 the last 3 seasons, and they just fly out the last minute. So I'll go ahead and say Leicester.
Okay. For me, Leicester would probably also be my pick. But one team that I think should be there, and I think it's a shame that they're not even in conversation for top 4, is Arsenal. I know everyone. I'm not clowning. I'm dead serious right now. We look at this Arsenal team. Obviously, there's a lot of holes, but they've got Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. They've got Alexander Lacazette. No matter what, these are players that can get you into the top 4. They have Thomas Partey. They have just bought Ben White for 50 M's. They've got 2 decent goalkeepers. I am not trolling. I'm dead serious right now. Plus, they've literally got no European football. So they could focus on their league throughout the season. Forget the FA Cup. If you want, you could go for the FA Cup. Forget the FA Cup. Forget the Carabao Cup. Focus on the league, and I do believe they can find their way into the top 4. But the problem is your captain is Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, who's also your best player. That is, I don't think he's captain material.
Yeah, you said
Mikel Arteta. So.
Like that was it. Like this is okay, and like who are they? Like.
No, but then if you look at it, Aubameyang is a proven goal scorer, whether anyone wants to admit it or not. He's a proven goal scorer. Lacazette is a good player. Nicolas Pepe is a good player. Bukayo Saka is proven to be a good player.
This isn't Nora. Who is this? There's no
These are good players, and these are players that should be getting, Arsenal into the top 4. The manager is a different story, by the way. Who I have no what?
Arteta tax is crazy. It's mod. Yeah. Mod Arteta tax.
So crazy. Arteta tax might actually cancel out the lack of European football. That's how bad it is. He's their European football. He's their away nights at Azerbaijan. He's the one taking all the energy out of the squad. So I don't know.
Maybe they're winning against West Brom with Alba getting the hat trick and Odegaard coming in, because I saw a stat that with Odegaard in the starting lineup, Alba scores compared to when he's not there. So maybe you're right. I mean, because on paper, they should be doing a lot better than they have. So we'll see. We'll see.
Plus, they've spent the most amount of money, this season. Ramsdale for 25 M's. You look at Ben White for 50. Tavares.
Man,
they've got peas.
I don't know how we're going to compete if they start to kick up. Thomas Party's still waiting to come back. Man, the
They're
Gunners.
serious.
Yeah,
They're outside.
I don't know how. I be missing. I don't know how we can compete, but we'll see. But it's definitely been an emotional 24. We're gonna come back with more lives throughout the season for sure.
Yeah.
Man, Ronaldo, man. Ronaldo's back at United. You see how I'm coming, like playing with stop playing with me. Oh, wrong.
You're tapping Nike.
Stop playing. Listen, United win the league, and I'm at Old Trafford doing a live from the Stretford end. Just know it's been a long time coming. Yeah, we'll be back. More lives, guests. Hopefully not lying this time because we'll see what happens. The world is crazy.
We've lied to you guys a couple times, but if you want to be a guest, hit us up.
Yeah, word. It's a crazy world out there. We never know what could happen.
Yeah.
Another world war, another pandemic. I don't know, but it's all good because Ronaldo's in my team. I'm gonna be seeing training pics. I'm gonna be seeing him in Rashford practicing knuckleballs. Listen, I got a whole fantasy in my head of like how it's not a fantasy because it's really happening, but I got a whole like idea of just my heart. My heart is just man.
I'm so full right now. Ronaldo's home.
Yeah,
Thank you all.
Thank God I didn't start tweeting how I wanted to tweet yesterday because I would have looked crazy.
Yeah, thank God I didn't tweet my feelings yesterday when he was linked to City. By the way,
I might have got my account locked if I wanted to see what I wanted to say. But, we'll be back, and until next time, take care of yourselves, take care of each other. Peace.
Peace.